Hi, this is Lady C. Welcome to Creative Studio 101. In the upcoming episode, I'm going to be talking about how to buy a computer. And I have a student here with me today, and we're going to be talking all about how she can determine what type of system she wants to purchase. All right, Benita, welcome to Creative Studio.
Well, hello, Lady C.
So this, it's really nice being able to, have a person here with me. And as I'm talking about the computer and what she needs to look at, and when she's thinking about buying a computer, because she's not alone in this process. You know, Benita, she's gonna be needing. There's gonna be other people that's just like her that's trying to buy a computer. Now, Benita, one of the things I will say is people, when they think about buying a computer, it depends on their budget, right? And
Right.
so when you think about your budget, you begin to look at price tags when you go into the store and you're like, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, I got this computer and somebody told me that I had to buy a computer with all these specs and I spent $2,000 on a computer. And then 3 or 4 years go by and like technology has changed to the point where you need another computer because what you're running is not working with the latest in technology. And
Hmm.
all you can think about is, oh my God, I spent all that money 3 or 4 years ago, and I am not about to drop another $2,000 on no computer. This is the issue people are faced with all
Exactly.
day long. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that's the issue that everyone is faced with. And I can't tell you how many computers I've bought over the years, but because this is my livelihood, I need something that's going to work for me when I'm working with my projects. Okay. And so in this lesson, we're going to just talk a little bit about um, a computer and what to look for when you're, looking at the computer. But the first thing I'm going to do is kind of talk about Windows. We're going to be dealing with Windows right now, and then we're
Hmm.
going to go into the Macintosh because I'm a
Okay.
I'm a Mac and Windows shop.
Okay.
Now, Bonita, what do you have right now? What do you have? Do you have a
This is
Windows
a
or a Mac?
Dell that I have right now.
Okay, and your Dell is how old is it? Do you know how old it is?
I actually don't know how old because it actually doesn't belong to me.
Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you do a little bit of a test here. And if you can go to your Windows search and click on the search, and then I'm going to give you something to type into the system.
Okay.
Okay. So, and you're going to type this information, but it's going to be all no spaces or anything. You ready?
Okay. Okay.
So MSINFO 32 and then hit the enter key.
MSINFO.
Mhm.
Okay.
32.
Okay. Wait 1 second. I got to get that FO in there. Make sure I got it right. 32.
Okay.
Okay. And then hit enter.
Mhm.
Okay. All righty.
Okay. So now, what's showing up?
A list, the system summary.
Okay. Excellent. So now, in your system summary, can you look and see what your processor is? What kind of processor do you have?
Okay, 1 second. I gotta go through this list.
And what you're looking for is an Intel, because I'm sure that's an Intel. And so basically for people that's listening to this video, or this episode, they can also do the same thing. Go to their search, type in MS Info 32, and that gives you everything that you need to know about your computer. And that way you can tell, how much memory you have, how much storage you have on the system, and how fast your computer speed is. Okay?
Okay, 1 second. I had to jot that down really quick.
Okay.
Okay,
So if
so
anybody wants
now,
to know that, a lot of people don't know that they can find their the system summary of their computer right here, but this is where it is. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my computer.
Yeah, it says Intel Core i5 4300U CPU 1.99 gigahertz.
Okay. And then can you go down and look and see how much memory you have? So what you're looking for your memory would be installed physical memory. That's what I'm looking for. Look for the one that says installed system memory and just keep coming down in the system.
Okay,
Installed
I do see installed physical memory. It
That's
says
it. Installed physical memory.
8.00 gigabytes.
Okay. So you have 8 gigs of RAM in your system. Okay. So you're running an iCore 5. You have 8 gigs of RAM. And then the other one I'd like to know about is what's your system type?
It is x64 hyphen base PC.
Okay. So it's a 64-bit. Okay. Now, everything that you and I just talked about is what you're going to be looking for when you're purchasing your computer. You want to know what is your system type, your processor, your RAM. This is what you're looking for when you're buying your computer. And the other thing I want you to tell me is what is your operating system? So you're going to be seeing an OS name at the very top. What is your operating system?
Microsoft Windows 10 Enterprise.
Excellent. Okay. So these are the things that you need to know about your computer. And for those of you who are listening to this this broadcast, these are the things that you're going to need to know if you currently have a computer. You want to find out what you currently have. Then you want to determine what type of software you're going to be working with, because like in our case here with my student today, Bonita, she's going to be doing videos. So she's definitely not going to want to buy a Windows machine. She's going to be looking at purchasing a Mac, because a Mac is going to give her a better computer experience when she's trying to work with her videos. Across the board, when you're working with the Macintosh system, it just handles your software so much easier. It makes your life so much more better when you're trying to work with your products. You know, a Windows machine just is not going to give you what you want when you're working with videos. Now, the specs that you just gave me, if you want to run Windows, if you want to run Microsoft Business 365, or just Microsoft 365, because they changed the name to Microsoft 365 because Microsoft Office, they have more applications that come with that. It's not just Office, okay? But mainly, we're just discussing the main things that you need to know about your computer. Okay.
Good info.
So what I have on the screen right now that's highlighted in yellow, including that blue highlighting there, because that's the one that I clicked on, which is my processor. So on the screen right now is my specs for my Windows machine. Okay. Right. So my Windows machine is showing that my operating system is Windows 11 Pro. My manufacturer is a Dell. My system type is 64-bit. My processor is an iCore 7 Intel, and my physical memory is 16 gigabytes. Now, that's a pretty nice computer. When I bought this computer a couple years ago, that was a pretty fast machine. However, this is not my machine that I create videos on.
Okay.
Have I done a video on this machine? Yes, I have. But you know what kind of videos I'm doing?
What kind?
I'm doing explainer videos. Okay. On my Windows machine, I teach people how to use business software. And I have a software application that allows me to capture the screen, and I can go and explain how to use software. Okay. So this machine that I have with these specs on it works perfect for that. I don't have any issue, you know, opening up Microsoft Word, Microsoft Outlook, a web browser, or whatever it is, and then just going through the steps and showing people, hey, look, I'm going to give you a tip about how to use email, how to send or how to filter email in
Mhm.
Yahoo or whatever. This machine does that perfectly.
Okay.
With the specs I have on that computer, it's perfect. And the specs that I have is what you're seeing on the screen right now. That's what I have on this machine. It's Windows, it works perfect. Okay, next. The next thing we're going to talk about is storage. Okay,
Mhm.
so what I need you to do is I now need you to go to the left hand side of your screen
Mhm.
and I need you to click on components. So you see where it says system summary over there on the left? Then there's going to be a link for components. Click on the plus sign next to components
Okay, got it.
and then go down to storage. And when you go to storage, then you're going to choose your drives and then you're going to see how much space that you have on this Windows machine.
Now that's strange. I can't I clicked on components, and then on the right-hand side it says select a subcategory, but I can't do it.
Okay. Do you see on your computer screen a plus sign in front of components on the left hand side?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah,
Click
I
on that
scroll
plus
down.
sign.
Okay, so
Then it's
now I
going to
go.
expand. Mhm. And now
Okay.
you're going to see storage.
Okay,
And you're
I
going to
see it
choose the
now.
plus sign on storage. Okay.
Yes.
Then you're going to see drives and you're going to click on drives.
Okay. Got it.
And then, okay, on the right hand side, now you're going to see how much hard drive space you have on that laptop. It's going to say size and it's going to say free space.
Okay, I see size and free space. So
Okay.
the size is 237.35 gigabytes, and free space is 108.95 gigabytes.
Okay. So you have a very small hard drive
Okay.
on this machine. And so what that means is if you're going to be working with videos and videos, you create pretty large files with the videos. And a video, if you're going to be doing videography, you can easily fill up this hard drive space in a matter of no time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going to be another area that you have to pay attention to when you're purchasing your computer. Okay? This the size of your computer. So, like for me, on the screen here that I have on my screen, I'm showing that I have 459.62 gigabytes is my size. So, really, I have a 500 gigabyte hard drive. But what
Mm-hmm.
happens is when you get your computer from the manufacturer, some of that space is already taken up by the operating system.
Right.
So you're going to be in the hole, from whatever you buy, you're already going to be in the hole because of certain software that you have to install just to turn on the machine. So,
Okay.
when you buy your system, you're going to have to keep in mind, that you're going to have to accommodate some of that other space being used. Okay?
Right.
So, these are choices that you have to make.
Okay.
Now, let me say this. The more memory you have, the more uh, the higher your core is, your Intel, like i5, i7, whatever's out. Um, the more space you want to buy for your machine, that's how much more your machine's going to cost. Okay, because what you're dealing with here is when you have your processor, your memory, and your storage, or let me just go back. Your memory and the processor is how fast your computer will run. So when I was talking about iCore 5, iCore 7, that's going to be how fast that processor is. The memory, I think we identified that you only have 8 GB of physical memory on your machine. I
Mm-hmm.
have 16 GB on mine. So my machine, just because I got more memory than you, and I'm running an i7, an iCore 7, my machine is faster than your machine. So if I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to be doing a video on there, I'm going to probably have a better experience than you, just because of my specs are
Do you
higher.
remember what mine was?
You have an iCore 5, and you have 8 GB of RAM or
Okay.
memory.
Okay. So, and you have
Okay.
16 gigabytes, right?
I got
Okay.
16 GB. That's right. Okay. Now the storage doesn't necessarily, you know, it's not going to make your machine run slower, but it could, because if you start running out of space, your machine can start to give you poor performance, because you're trying to save information on a hard drive that's actually filling up. But
Okay.
normally that's not going to be your issue. Okay. Because if
Okay.
you don't have any room, you just don't have any room. So this is where you're going to have to make decisions about
Mm-hmm.
your system. Now, I'm just saying this about Windows for other people who might not be doing video, because Benita, your specs on your Dell machine, if you're not going to be doing video, you're okay. That
Okay.
machine will run just fine. Windows 10, iCore 5, you know, 8 GB of memory just to do letters, a PowerPoint presentation here or there, an
Right.
Excel spreadsheet, sending a few emails here and there, attending a Teams meeting like you're doing right now, or an
Mm-hmm.
online meeting. It works just fine, because, we're
Mm-hmm.
not in the business of trying to get people to buy something that they don't need. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize. They don't realize that just because somebody else has a computer that has all these components, and they're running fast, and they got all these things that is the latest and greatest in technology, and now they feel like they got to go buy it too. We're not saying that. We're saying buy your computer for what you need it for. Don't
Right.
just go buy it because it's new on the market. you
Right.
know
Makes good sense.
right.
Sounds reasonable.
Exactly. So this will give you and anybody else information that's trying to
Mm-hmm.
get a computer, what they need to be thinking about if they're going to just be doing business applications. Okay. And another thing I want to just kind of show you here on the screen is Microsoft 365 Business Standard. And the only reason why I'm showing you Business Standard is because this is what I'm running on my machine. And all I did was just went to my online admin portal and kind of pulled down what I was I know I just went up there and just like went on the internet and typed in Microsoft 365 Business Standard, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what came back online. And then I just copied this into this PowerPoint presentation. So this is kind of showing you what you would get if you had bought this online software. But I also got to go back and address the hard drive space.
Okay.
Okay. So let me just step back on that. So the hard drive, um, when you look at this Microsoft 365 Business Standard, what you're going to notice is you're going to see one of the line items that says store and share files with 1 TB of OneDrive cloud storage per user. Okay. So even though your computer doesn't have much storage capacity, if you were to buy Microsoft 365 Business Standard or any of the Microsoft online, you know, uh, programs or the different packages that they have, it's gonna come with 1 TB of storage. And this is the reason why a lot of these manufacturers are selling computers right out the box, retail, and you can get a computer with 250 gigabytes of storage. And the reason why is because a lot of people are actually selling, or they're actually saving their files in the cloud, which means that, let me ask you this. Do you know what that means to save a document in the cloud?
Yes, I do. That is like an outside data storage system outside of your computer, where if something happens to the data on your computer, you still have a copy of it elsewhere in on the cloud.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So, years ago, when we first got email, that was actually stored in a cloud because your email
Oh.
does not reside on your computer. You have to actually log in. Like
Mm-hmm.
when people started getting like the Yahoo accounts back in the day, and they were
Right.
using Netscape and all those kind of services. Now Gmail is very popular. Um, Outlook has bought out Hotmail. So if you had a a Hotmail account, Microsoft bought them out. And so now it would be considered Outlook. So
Okay.
Hotmail has now converted to Outlook.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I'm just going to keep it simple right now.
Okay.
But back in the day, when you had these email services, that was your first introduction to cloud storage.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people may not realize this, but if you had a free email account back in the day and you kind of went dormant, and you're saving your emails, you're receiving emails, you're sending emails, and you're thinking, oh, I haven't used this account in a while, they would actually delete all of your emails, and you would go back in and they would say, oh, we got rid of your emails because we noticed that you weren't using the account, and so now
Mm-hmm.
all your stuff is gone. you know
Mm-hmm.
and so that was their way of keeping their servers clean. you know
Mm-hmm.
so that's a good example of online storage.
Right.
Okay. Okay, now, so if you buy a computer and you're trying to save money, you could get a computer with 250 gigabytes of storage. Now, I would not recommend doing that, but when I purchased my Windows machine, I got 500 gigabytes of storage. That would be my minimum. Now, the reason why I did that is because I knew I wasn't going to be doing a lot of videos on this machine, but I did not want to end up in a situation where I'm doing my explainer videos and I find myself running out of storage really quickly. So I said, well, 500 gigabytes is a starting point. I don't even want to tell you how many different online storage systems I have. I have OneDrive that comes with this Microsoft 365 Business Standard, which gives me 1 terabyte.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 terabytes on Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I think, 100 gigabytes on my Creative Cloud, because what I'm
That comes
telling
with
you
Adobe,
is,
right?
yes, comes
Okay.
with Adobe. So I'm in the Creative Cloud, and I really haven't checked it to see how much space I have, but I do know I'm running out of space. So I don't think I have a terabyte. I thought I had a terabyte, but I don't think I do. I should,
Okay.
for how much money I'm paying for the Creative Cloud every month. I should have a terabyte, but I don't think I do have a terabyte.
Okay.
But every time you buy a service from someone like Adobe Creative Cloud, Microsoft 365, they're going to allot so much storage for you to use on the
Mm-hmm.
platform. And of course,
Okay.
there's pros and cons to that. I'm not going to get into too much of it, but what I'd like to say is this: be careful, because if you are saving your files in their cloud and you decide that you no longer want to participate as one of their clients, your
Right.
files are going to be lost in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think they hold it for like about 30 days. If you don't pay your bill, if you're whatever, your credit card is
Mm-hmm.
rejected or whatever, you gotta pay attention when you're saving your files in the cloud, because if you don't pay attention to that, then you could possibly lose your files. That's the worst thing that could happen to anybody.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So those are going to be your issues that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to just kind of show you. So I still have the old fashioned hard drive.
Yeah,
Now,
the external hard drive.
the external hard drive. This
Yeah,
is a 5 terabyte hard drive I got from Costco.
really.
It holds 5 terabytes.
That's
It's
a
a
lot.
huge
Because
drive.
what would you say a terabyte? How much bigger is a terabyte than a? I guess gigabyte would be the next measure.
Yeah, it's like it's 1,000 gigabytes.
Okay.
1,000 gigabytes is 1 terabyte.
Okay.
Okay. 1 terabyte is a lot of storage. So if I'm telling you I got 5 terabytes here, this is a lot. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a pro and con to that as well. Because if I end up putting 5 terabytes of data on here and this hard drive goes bad, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's going to be another issue that you could have. So you got to be
Mm-hmm.
careful all the way around.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got to think it through.
You got to think it
Lots
through.
of considerations.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like, how big does my car need to be? How big of a house do I need to buy? Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
we overdo things in every aspect of our lives. Well, if you look at it like that, it's like, oh, how big should my hard drive be? Do I want a hard drive that's that huge? Do I want to
Mm-hmm.
be carrying around that much data where I could actually lose it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But this is very important, when you're buying your
Right.
computer, because I don't want to, tell someone all you need is 250 gigabyte hard drive. And then it's like, oh my God, I wish I would have rethought that, you
Mm-hmm.
know? The reason I want to say that is because if you buy a Macintosh, their hard drive and their memory and all those chips that you can buy, they're all soldered to the board. There's very limited flexibility that you can have for expanding it. Um, I will say this about my first Macintosh that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I bought the one that everything was soldered in, and I bought this back in 2012.
Okay.
This MacBook Pro could not be upgraded no matter what I wanted to do.
Really?
And Macintosh is like that. Macintoshes are like that. Okay. Now,
Versus like a Dell or some other type of computer, they can be upgraded to more storage. Is
yeah,
that
so
is
can
that
so can
am I
Mac.
on point? Am I on
You
track?
are you are on point.
Okay.
Yeah. A
That's
Mac,
interesting.
right. Well, see, a Mac
That's
can be
something
upgraded
that
too. A Mac can be upgraded too, but it just so happened that the Macintosh I bought in 2012, that particular Mac could not be upgraded for nothing.
oh my goodness.
For
That
nothing.
is
No memory, nothing.
and the average person wouldn't know that
Right.
when
Well,
purchasing a
see,
Mac.
here's the thing. When you get ready to purchase your Macintosh, you need to ask the salesperson, can you upgrade this Mac? Can I
Mm-hmm.
expand the memory? Can I expand the hard drive? You know, because when I spoke to a guy at Best Buy the other day, he was saying for the most part, when you buy a Macintosh, you get what you got. Whatever you pay for is what you get. So make sure that when you spend that kind of money for something, it's what you need.
Right.
And I like to grow into my stuff. I don't want to buy the bare bone minimum, you know,
Right.
because the what I'm going to show you right now is, this is going to be some specs. I don't know if you can see this or not. but
I can't see
even
the print, but
I can't even see that. I can't even see that on my screen right now, but I'll put another picture on it later on. But what we're looking at right now is the software requirement. So like if you maybe you're not going to be doing any video production, but you know what software you're going to be using. So then you would just go and try to find the software specs. And what the software will do is this is what you need to run Microsoft 365 business. Okay. So you're going to need a processor. Let me see if I can get this. I'm gonna read this to you. Hold a second. So if I can get this thing up here. Give me a second. Try to make this a little bit bigger. So like, let me give you an example of what you're gonna need. So in order to run the software, Microsoft 365, you need at least 1 gigahertz or an x64-bit processor. For a Macintosh, you need to have at least an Intel processor. The operating system, you can still run a Windows 8.1 and and of course the latest version of Windows. So
would that be
it's just
11?
telling
Is
you.
the latest version 11?
Yes.
Okay.
The
Okay, so
latest
let me
version
see
is
if I got
11.
this straight. For a regular, anything other than a Mac, if I bought Microsoft 365 Business Standard, I need 1 gigahertz of what? Storage?
Well, no, that's the processor. That's the
Oh,
speed of the
processor.
processor. So and you know, if you're over an i7 or whatever, you're going to be in good shape. But this is not for you because you're not buying a Windows machine.
No, I just wanted to get an idea of.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about your stuff in a second, but we're just kind of giving this overview for people who's trying to buy a
Okay,
Windows machine. Okay,
right.
so if you get a processor that's faster than an i7, you're in the game. Okay, all I'm doing is
Mm-hmm.
showing you right now what it means when you have this system up here and the requirements. This is what you need. So if somebody has a computer at home and they go to that MS Info 32 and they see that they don't have these specs that I have here, then they're gonna know that's why their system is running so slow.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, the reason why you look at your operating system is because if you're having issues with your software and you're still using Windows 7 and you go here and see the operating system, they're like, oh, we're still running Windows 8.1. Okay. So you know you're still good to go if you at least have Windows 8.1. This is for people who are working, you know, consumers, not people that's working in an office. Okay. So that's what all we're talking about right now.
Okay.
The memory, they're telling you that at a minimum, now these are minimum requirements, okay? At a
Right.
minimum, they're saying that you need 1 gigabytes of RAM, 32-bit, or you need at least 2 gigabytes of RAM, 64-bit. Now we know you're in the game because you got 8 gigabytes of memory. So you're good to go. But these are just bare bone minimum just to run the software.
Right.
And then it kind of gives you the PC. It gives you OS X, which is Mac. No, OS X. I think that is Mac. Yeah, that is Mac. So this is just some things to look at. And then of course it's showing the hard disk space. It's telling you that for a PC you need at least 3 gigabytes of available disk space because that's how much it's going to cost. That's how much it's going to how much storage is going to be to install all that software that you're going to be using.
And
Okay.
okay, so you just Google that and were able to pull that information up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so if let's say you're going to do the Creative Cloud, then you just got to go in there and type in like Adobe Creative Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
computer requirements and stuff like that. And
Okay.
then that's a way that you can start looking to see, you know, what do I need to run the machine?
Right. What
But
are
keep
my
in
needs?
mind, yep, keep in mind, that just because these are the bare bones specs don't mean that you want to get your specs to be looking exactly like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because goodness well, you need more than 3 GB of storage
If
on
you
your
want to
computer.
get, if you want to use that computer for, any length of time, I imagine you want to try to, you know, get a little more. That might help to prolong the usage of your computer
Well,
so
you
that
want
you
more than
can
that.
upgrade to software.
Yes.
Because I know
But just
yeah,
go ahead.
the last laptop I bought, I don't remember the specs or anything, but I know that I used that laptop for at least 10 years. And the last time I upgraded the software, the IT person told me, this is the last time you're going to be able to use it. He says, because I didn't have enough, probably processor or RAM. Yeah, but I did use that for a long time because when I bought it, I don't remember what the specs are, but I know I added more than the bare minimums.
Okay. Well, like I was telling you before, when you look at your disk space storage,
Mm-hmm.
3 GB of available space is needed just to install the software.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how's it going so far, Benita? You learning something about how to buy a computer?
Yes, I am. I'm learning a
Okay.
lot. You have given me a lot of information. I've tried to make notes of everything you've given me, but yeah, this is very helpful.
Well, to purchase your Macintosh is going to be much easier than that. Um, Microsoft. I mean, what you're going to have to do with the Macintosh is I would go to Best Buy, and I'm going to put this on the computer and on the screen. I'm just going to kind of walk you through this just really quick. So when you buy a Macintosh, it's going to be um, they came out with a chip called M1. Okay. Now remember when I told you that your computer runs fast based on your memory and your
Yes.
processor. So
Right.
what the Mac has done is they have come up with an in-house chip called M1. The
Mm-hmm.
M2 chip is out now. So as we were talking about the processor for Windows, we were talking about an iCore 5, we're talking about an iCore 7. 7 runs faster than the 5. So it's the same thing with the M1 chip and the M2 chip. The M2 chip is the next generation. So that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously going to be running faster than the M1 chip. Okay. So this is new. Macintosh is not using Intel anymore. They're using M1, M2,
Oh,
and so
really?
forth. That's correct.
Oh,
And so the information that I received in doing my research is if you were to get a computer that's a M1 and you had 8 GB of memory, you may just be in the game for doing video. You might not need anything
really?
else. You might not need anything else but that. M1, 8 GB. Now, let me tell you right now, for those of you who are listening, you're going to be probably leaving a comment below saying, she's wrong. That's not true. But at the time of this video that I'm doing it, the M2 is just coming out. So if I have a person that I'm coaching to buy a new computer and they don't have a budget to buy an M2 because the M2 is going to be more expensive than the M1. All I'm
Yeah.
saying is if you're on a shoestring budget, an M1 with 8 GB of RAM might suit you just fine
Okay.
because
That's
all of your
good info.
speed is in that chip. You got what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to help you out. Now, the next thing you're going to be talking about is how much storage you want. Because remember, we've already talked about the storage when we were talking about that Microsoft Windows machine.
Right.
But the storage it's the same thing for a Mac. Apply the same principle that you would do for a Windows machine
Okay.
when you're talking about storage. Now,
Okay.
for me, personally speaking, I would want an M1 chip with 16 GB of RAM. But if you
Mm-hmm.
can't afford that, do a Macintosh M1 with 8 GB. It'll still suit you fine. Why do I know that? Because my first MacBook Pro was a 2012, and all I had was 8 GB, and I'm using an Intel chip. So if that was a good machine, I know an M1 and 8 GB will work just fine.
Okay.
Okay. But you might not be able to find them in the store. They may be selling them out pretty fast like hotcakes. So you may be forced to buy that M2 chip if the place that you're going to buy the M1 chip has already sold out. So that's why
Got
you're going to try to go online and do your research. And you can still buy a Mac that has an Intel chip, but I would not recommend it. Don't go backwards to get technology. Always move forward. And I would not get any Mac that has anything under an M1 chip.
Okay.
The other thing I want to say about the Macintosh is going to be how big you want your machine to be. How large you
Well,
want it.
that's another consideration. Do you want a large laptop or one of the? I see a lot of people with those smaller ones, and
Mhm.
and you kind of wonder, what's the difference? I mean,
Okay.
for your needs.
Okay, so that's a good question. Now let me just say this. That's not going to be a problem. See,
Okay.
you have to make sure what you want to do, because they had that little mini cube you can get. You can
Right.
get a laptop, which was a MacBook Pro, or you can get there's another kind of Mac that you can get. And then you got the desktop. Now, I have a desktop, I have a 13-inch Mac, and I have a 16-inch Mac
Okay.
laptop. So I got a
Okay.
desktop and 2 laptops
Okay.
and a Windows machine. Okay. Now, I got a 13-inch MacBook Pro because I was using it to travel with it. And I didn't want a big old Mac to be carrying around.
Right.
That's the reason why I got my laptop to be smaller, because I didn't want to deal with that. Okay. So if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be, you know, transporting this Macintosh, going places with it, then you might not want to get a great big old Mac, because now
Yeah.
it's going to give you
Lugging that
problems.
around.
You don't want to lug it around.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get by that? How do you get past that? Okay. So you get a 13-inch Macintosh, but now you can get a docking station, and you can hook that 13-inch Macintosh to a uh, external monitor. And now you get a big monitor so that when you come home,
Oh, so
you
that's
hook
what's
it up.
happening at work. Now, I notice at
Okay.
work, a lot of people have two monitors. They'll have their laptop and then, they have the docking station and then they'll use the external monitor, but their laptop is running.
Yep.
So that's what's going on.
Yep. And so this
You
is
can
what I'm
see
saying.
better.
Yep. Say that again.
So when you are at a desk, you can convert to a larger monitor, so to speak.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So if you're trying to buy a Macintosh on a shoestring, you could do an M1 8 GB
Mm-hmm.
13-inch MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're at home. You can now get a docking station, hook it
Mm-hmm.
up to a 27-inch monitor. You can also, get an external keyboard, get your mouse, and you could get a webcam. And when you get your docking station, you can plug all of that in, your HDMI cable and everything.
Now the
Okay?
HDMI cable is the cable that you connect your laptop to the external monitor.
That's correct.
Okay, HDMI cable.
Mhm.
Okay, got that down.
All right, so this has been Lady C. I hope that this was very helpful in helping you to determine what type of computer to buy, either a Windows or a Mac. And I'll see you on the next episode.